All right. Hello, everyone, especially those who are living there in the UK. I'm Bea and I'm from the Philippines right now. It's actually 8 p.m. here in the Philippines. And it's very nice to be with you guys right now. And my my talk will be about move to action. I am from MockCOP 26 and I'll be discussing more about that later. And for for the being moved to action, I have to first ask you, do you feel overwhelmed with the existing climate crisis that we have right now? All of the problems that we are having, including the politics, all the basically all the bad things, and basically maybe about the superficial things that are happening right now, and even the existing climate crisis that's already happening. Actually, here in the Philippines, we just experienced the extreme weather catastrophe just about a week ago, wherein the strongest typhoon in 2020 arrived in the Philippines, and it unfortunately devastated the poor province in Bicol region, which is not a very privileged. Most of them is uh, an agricultural province. They and fishermen, and these are the people who were most affected by this super typhoon. So imagine the amount of devastations. It actually cost us billions, and there's so many lives that have been lost. And so these kinds of problems tend to overwhelm us as individuals, and especially us as a youth. And of course, that's very sad. But how can you be moved to action? Then we have to make climate action personal. And yes, again, I am from MockCOP, and I will tell you more about that later. For now, so that um, we will be devoid of all of the overwhelming feeling of the tangible things around us and all the politics and whatnot that is being caused by human error. Well, then, we really have to connect to nature. We have to connect to the world around us that's apart from the actions done by human beings, and that is nature. The rest of the rest of the world that's not being that's not being done. And the world is bigger than just the human beings themselves. There's a lot of trees, and we have to notice them as well. And so I'm giving you this, that you have to listen, you have to smell and feel whatever's just around you. And they are a lot. You have to really observe them and, you know, just just really feel the things that are around you. Yeah. Therefore, for example, when you look at the clouds and you just, of course, most of the time it's just like, oh, maybe it's just clouds. Oh, maybe they're just trees. They're just green. And but no, actually, if you really observe very carefully, they are really they're really rich and very diverse, and that is absolutely beautiful. And so for us to really make climate action personal to us, we have to be one with nature as well. And of course, the reason why it's kind of hard for us, and of course not just us, maybe you are already in touch with nature, but how about those people who you are kind of being annoyed with because, oh, why aren't they doing their part for nature and all that? Well, then I'm here to share with you the reason, or like for us to be more compassionate with these kinds of people. So this is me telling you how to understand them better and realize what their psyche is. And so all of us, we feel that the world is infinite. because of our own perspective. Because we as human beings, for example, when we stand just outside or just look up at the sky, it looks very infinite. It looks like, you don't see any end to it. When you look at the sea, it doesn't look like, you cannot see the end of the sea. You just see a horizon. And so this this leads to discontentment because if we feel that the world is infinite, well, then I can just throw a small candy wrapper and nothing will happen. And then we also feel like the resources that we have are very much unlimited as well. That is why we keep buying things, and when we buy things, we just end up throwing things when we don't care about them anymore. And that's the discontentment. We just have a lot. And therefore, when we have a lot and we keep throwing things when we're discontented anymore, we get the throwaway society. And if it's not you, then most of the people are. And that's basically the reason why we feel that um that that's the main thing that this thing is happening basically. And it's all because of our perspective that the world is infinite. And why do we feel that the world is infinite? It's because that, aside from actual perspective, there's this disconnect with nature. So if you don't care, if you feel disconnected because of the existing structures, maybe where you live in there's not much plants because there's so many concrete, of course you will be disconnected. If the other people you are pretty much annoyed with are also disconnected with earth, that they don't care about the earth, maybe it's also not their fault, and maybe it's because of the place that they were brought up with. And of course they did not design that themselves. That's why they don't have much care about the earth. And of course, you cannot love what you don't understand. That is why we really have to make an effort to understand our planet. And of course, whenever you watch some TV shows or documentaries about the earth, that's when you become more amazed, right? And as well as when you watch it just simply on social media. And so for us to understand and care about the earth, and for us to have little perspective on how it's infinite, then we should see this. That Look at that blue strip that you're seeing, that is our atmosphere. And yes, if you just do this in your finger, that is basically how thin our atmosphere is from the outer space. And that thing that we are seeing, as if when we look up, that seems very um, endless, is actually just that. And just imagine, in that small thin atmosphere we place all of our carbon emissions. Yes, I know, it's absurd. And that's really a call for alarm. And look at this. This is our planet Earth from outer space as well. And look at how small it is, and that you can just clasp your hand like this, and you make yourself feel as if you're holding the earth. Then yes, imagine that the earth is in your hands right now, and it seems so precious. And in that hand, and on your hand, you're feeling the planet earth, and you see that it's very limited, it's very precious. This is where our loved ones are, and this is where we all live. Then maybe we can all care more about it. And I hope that whenever you go out and after this session, you'll be able to remember this. Like, just do this with your hand, and then just hold it in your heart, and make yourself feel as if you're holding the earth, and it's just about the size of your heart. And so for you to be able to care about the planet Earth through your own everyday life, then you have to make sure, and you have to realize that everything you have came from somewhere. And that somewhere is somewhere around the earth, because we only have a limited earth. And that anything, your gadgets, your clothes, your food, everything came from life itself. And so please, just take care of everything that you have. And remember that we are willing to sacrifice for the ones we love. So may it be turning off your electricity and all that. Just do a bit of sacrifice with your lifestyle and all. But we have to realize, though, that individual lifestyle won't solely solve the climate crisis, even though, of course, we all have responsibilities and obligations, because we are all living in this one earth, and it's just about gratitude and respect for this planet earth, for us to actually not waste its resources, right? We still have to call for accountability of larger corporations and decision makers, especially those who have a large impact globally. And of course, we have to call for accountability, because, for example, the things that we usually eat since growing up, like even since we were kids, we had these stuff that we love, but apparently they're wrapped in plastic and all that. Is that our fault as consumers? It's not. And so we have to ask those who are of those companies, those corporations, and we also have to ask the decision makers, so that they would put pressure on those corporations to be more climate and eco-friendly, for example. And this is also the very reason that we have MockCOP. And if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a climate change conference that is designed by the youth for the youth. And it's going to be actually about wait, what's my math? About 9 days from now. Yeah, about 9 days from now, and it's going to transpire in about 2 weeks. It's a 2 weeks climate change conference that will be there'll be that will have youth delegates all over the world. And so the reason why we did this is because, of course, because of the pandemic, there had been a postponement of the original COP26. If we remember correctly, that the COP26, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, happens yearly for 26 years already, except this year because of the pandemic. And what they're doing is that they discuss every single year to talk about climate action and what we should do as a global as in a global effort. But because of the pandemic, they weren't able to converge in one place, of course. But it shouldn't have been an excuse to actually do something for the climate action. And so what we did now in mock COP26 is that we are placing the conference and parties in an online way that is going to be representing the youth, so that we will be heard finally in this um, in this global platform. And then we're going to utilize the technology for it, because of course we cannot delay climate action even though there's a pandemic. Basically, the pandemic is a result of also natural causes and like human interventions on our nature. So yes, there's really a lot to talk about. And yes, I hope that you'll be able to watch it, to take part in mock COP26, be able to watch it in our YouTube channel, and as well as just follow what's gonna happen, because at the end of this mock COP26, at the end of December 1st, we will be presenting a high level statement that will represent what the youth is about to talk about, what the youth wants to tell the world about the climate crisis, because we have to be heard. Those who are underrepresented has to be heard, and that we have to involve inclusivity in the discussion on climate change. And that is all. Thank you and love the earth. So there you go. You can also visit mockcop.org for more details. Oh, okay, there are questions. Okay, how old do you have to be to get involved with the MockCOP? Okay, yeah, of course. We are students here in the MockCOP, so you can just be just about 30 years and below. Anyone can actually be actively participating in the MockCOP, and we are actually, our youth delegates are 30 years old and below. And then for the attendees or everyone who wants to watch it live on YouTube, or just any of our videos on YouTube, anyone can attend there. And another question: if we can't love what we don't understand, why aren't schools teaching us about it? I think we should have a lesson every week just on climate inaction. Yes, I know, right? I hope that your school is at least teaching you about the climate change as it is, but maybe there really needs a lot of improvements on the curriculum. But at least there's a lot of climate change organizations happening around the world right now, and that you can also follow them. And so that, yes, unfortunately, we also have to at least do our part in learning more about it. And yes, it's going to be a daily conscious effort in our end. What would your one message to government be? Please listen to your people, especially those who are underrepresented, especially the youth, the women, the minorities. And that is all. Through them, you will be able to address everything that has to be done, so for improvements, because if you listen to them, it's like you're already listening to the main needs of most. Will there be any more questions? All right, so you just have to, yes, thank you everyone. And you just have to basically find MockCOP 26 on the social medias, and we also have the website mockcop.org. That's all. Thank you.